Today, we're joined by Ethan Smith, a national advocate with the International OCD Foundation, and Dr. John Sonnenberg, licensed clinical psychologist at Uptown Research Institute in Chicago and principal investigator of an OCD clinical trial to shed light on OCD. We want to welcome both of you to the show. Doctor, first, explain what OCD is and maybe some examples of behaviors that are associated with OCD.
Yes. Obsessive compulsive disorder is a psychiatric illness that afflicts about 1 in 100 individuals. It is a leading cause of disability in this country. People with obsessive compulsive disorders have a cycle of obsessions, which are unwanted thoughts, impulses, images, and then they have compulsions, which are their way of dealing with the anxiety and discomfort that's caused by the obsessions. And the compulsions are typically behaviors or sometimes even cognitive patterns of counting and figuring out patterns that are designed to help the individual lower the discomfort they experience with obsessions. It's a serious condition and it needs to be brought to professionals and it needs to be treated.
Explain maybe your experience of having OCD and how you've worked through your evolution as we know you now.
OCD definitely changed the trajectory of my entire life. I was 6 or 7 when I first noticed OCD thoughts. Mine were worries about my mother going blind and health anxiety and being afraid that I was going to get a brain tumor, a meningitis, taking my temperature hundreds of times a day. Diagnosed with OCD at 14. And although I had the diagnosis, I didn't get proper treatment till the age of 31, 17 years later. That is the norm. I saw multiple therapists, none did the right treatment. And by the time I was 31, I found myself completely bedridden and in my parents' bedroom, unable to function. Found evidence-based treatment, exposure and response prevention, started engaging a year and a half of treatment and eventually got my life back and started living a life I never thought possible. Now, I was an actor before, now I'm a filmmaker and an OCD advocate. My whole purpose for living is to make sure that nobody has to suffer like I did, to find treatment, make it accessible, affordable, and effective, which is why the work that Dr. Sonnenberg doing on the clinical trial is so important. OCDtrials.com. You can go on there, find resources, hear from other advocates and their stories, as well as you see if you qualify for this clinical trial and find a site nearest you.
All right, Ethan, thank you so much for sharing with us your story. Doctor, thank you. We're going to post this information on our website, DailyFlashShow.com.